Me and Jill was having a debate about Mary J. Blige, T-Rex bought about Mary J. Blige and Sade. Everybody knows I love some Sade. Sade.
I love her. Even
Sade. Hey, whatever. But I'm just grateful that they never did a versus. I'm grateful that they never did a versus, period, because I would be so mad at myself. Hey. Well, leave Sade alone. Sade alone. Leave her alone. But stop. But here.
That's like you rocking that ponytail.
Hey, that ponytail is life.
Weight balance.
That ponytail life.
For
All right. But speaking of women, and by the way, this is the last part of Domestic Violence Month and Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm glad I have Miss Shayla Jackson here. Shayla, how you enjoying the show so far? Because on my rant, you almost laughed.
I swear to God. I had to almost get up and leave out of here. You had me laughing so
Right.
hard. I was fine.
Whatever.
I wasn't expecting that. You know what I mean?
Stop dissing me, man. I know your show on at 9 o'clock. Right in here. But I know it's a comedy show. Right, it is a comedy show. But we got to get something into something serious. Now, as a journalist, I know you've been following the Brittany Griner story, correct?
Yes.
So you know that her appeal was denied a couple of days ago, and everybody's up in arms about it. You know, the Golden State Warriors, when they got their ring, Steph Curry said, "Free Brittany Griner." And that was before her appeal was denied. Now, there's somebody that the United States is holding that they want, and he's pretty much
to somebody.
and they're both dangerous. I think they're like MacGyver. They can make bombs out of anything. Like, this could be a bomb.
Right.
So, do you think that Brittany Griner is a political prisoner right now because of the Russian-Ukraine war?
I do believe, and I do have to say, without all the receipts, but just from the information that I have gathered thus far, I do believe that she is being used as a political toy on the world stage. Anything that they can use against the United States of America, I believe, will be used and is being used unfortunately, in Brittany Griner's circumstance. She's somebody that is known throughout the United States. She has high profile, and unfortunately, she got caught up in some things while over in Russia that they were able to use against her and against the United States.
And even her, and Brittany Griner is LGBTQIA. That's the lesbian, gay, transgender community. And her wife, who is studying law right now to help Brittany, free Brittany, is saying that because she's a lesbian woman, and Russia doesn't like that she's also being punished because anybody else, you know, a year tops for the same crime that she's being punished for. And she's like it's 9 years. And she's a WNBA player, and it's 9 years. So, you know, as far as professionally, if you spend 9 years somewhere locked up, then that takes away from your playing value. And Brittany Griner, I don't know if she's in her 20s or 30s. You know, we all know
she's not gonna do 9 years.
They just want them two people back.
They're using it as a political tool, toy. So, you know, they're gonna do what they can do to exemplify just what's going on between Russia and the United States and United States affinity to the struggles that the Ukrainians are going through against Russia. And it's just being played out on the political stage. Unfortunately, like I said, Brittany just got caught up in that. But I doubt very seriously if she will do anywhere near 9 years. I don't see this playing out but for a little while longer.
I hope so, because we know these are the midterm elections, and you and I, we all talk about, you know, everybody needs to go vote. So what do you think it's going to do for the midterm elections? Because Kyrie Irving of the Brooklyn Nets said, Joe Biden, you know, do your job and help Brittany Griner get released. What do you think about Kyrie Irving's comments?
Well, you know, I think as far as Kyrie is concerned, he could actually make the trip to Russia a little quicker, on the flat Earth theory.
Flat Earth.
Because he don't have to deal with the
Right,
curvature of
right.
the Earth.
He said because the Earth is
He
round.
can just
Right.
stay there. But I'm not. Kyrie. You know what? I'm hesitant because Kyrie picks and chooses what he's talking about and what he's not talking about, and I haven't agreed on a lot of the things that Kyrie has said recently, especially when it comes to. My stance as far as the
vaccine.
vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine. Get
And-
vaccinated.
And Kyrie said some things that just aren't scientifically and medically sound. So I don't look for Kyrie to be my spokesman on this. Now, if he stands up and he's stepping up for Brittany, that's cool. But again, we know that this is far beyond sports. This is political intrigue at its highest level. And I don't even know if the midterm elections, how this will weigh on Brittany's. And you hate to see somebody caught up in a political struggle to be used as a political volleyball. But because like I said, I've traveled places. My family has traveled places. My children has traveled places out of this country, and you just really hate to see someone who has nothing to do with politics caught up in a political situation. I mean,
Right.
So, I don't know how this is going to play out as far as the presidential, or the
Midterms with the
elections,
governors and stuff like that.
I don't see it really weighing on that, but it is a part of the political agenda that is, I think, is going to be dealt with probably behind the scenes. But we'll see in the upcoming months
Right.
what happens to Brittany.
So speaking of upcoming months, Stacey Abrams is doing her thing in Georgia, and we have, and also, we're going to talk about LeBron. LeBron also said some things about what's going on as far as that, and he's also, even though the Lakers are struggling this year, he's on board to passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as far as the points. So what do you think about, before we get back into the political thing, what do you think about LeBron passing Kareem?
Well, first of all, we all know that LeBron, when you look at how many assists LeBron has had, and I mean LeBron could have been much closer to that, and will inevitably pass that as one of the greatest scorers. Just for one, because of longevity.
Right. 20 years. It's 20 years. Man, like 20 minutes of basketball, I'm done. And he did 20 years.
Yeah, no, man. But as somebody who spent the majority of their career as a pass-first player, if LeBron was looking to score, man, LeBron could have averaged 40 points if he wanted to.
Right.
But he also, I'll be interested to see where he is. He has to be in the top 10 of all-time assists, I'm sure.
Right.
Without looking at, and lots of times when you see people who have a high level of assists, career assists, they often are nowhere near the career points.
Right.
But this is somebody that is going to be, in both.
Exactly.
So, yeah, big ups to LeBron.
Yeah, big ups to LeBron. Okay. So Heather said it's a war of superpower, not even Ukraine. The experts have said Putin has no satisfaction out of anything anymore. Money, power, no influence. Now all he wants is to make people suffer because he can and will control the world. It's an absolute hit of a God complex with Putin. So if y'all worried about Kanye being this way and that way, we got to worry about these. Putin's got power and influence. Old KGB man. What do you think about Vladimir and his stance over there in Russia?
Well, I think he has always made it no secret on his quest for power.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he had a good opportunity to get back in the game under the Trump administration.
Right.
He was able to manipulate a president of the United States in ways that probably have never, ever been done by a foreign entity. And I think that put Putin back on the world stage, put him back in the game. It emboldened him in just his moves in Ukraine. Crimea has just shown that he's not letting up the gas. But yeah, man, people know who Putin is. They always have known who he was, and as a head of the KGB, we know that he has the capabilities behind the scenes to make things happen. Man, you know they've had journalists killed.
Right, exactly.
You know, old school, like
Rust-
powder smoke in their face, and,
Right.
and they die. Like the old school, you know, James Bond
Right.
espionage type tactics.
Talcum powder.
Right, talcum powder, and you die, like you suffering, like, is that anthrax?
Yeah, you know.
Like, forget Johnson and Johnson. Johnson and Johnson is supposed to do, you know.
They send the old school European woman over there to give you a red lip smoochie, and the next thing you know, you done fell out and died. So,
Right, you heaven sent, you heaven resources. Shout out to Ha Ha Davis. I'm sorry,
yeah, but
but
no, I mean, this is a point where people who are interested in social political affairs on a global scale, this is something to look at. This is a TED Talk straight up lesson on how this stuff breaks down, being played out before the world. So our political science people, or people who are interested in it, do yourself a favor to get up on what's happening, why it's happening, as it unfolds right before us.
Right.
This is a lesson, a college course happening right in front of us.
we got to go. Speaking of college courses, we're going to be back at Tri-C soon.
Yes.
And teach,
November 5th.
November 5th, teaching. And by the way, Shayla Jackson is having a birthday party on November
All right.
5th at the Mr. Max
Yes.
on Leo Harvard. So
Yeah.
she's old
The
school.
old school
Right.
stand
So-
up Lee at Harvard.
So how was it, how was it, that experience of talking about what you do? Because it was a great experience for me. How was it experience talking about what you did?
Well, you know, I got a chance. I wanted to talk about something else, but Tracy Potts, who helped put this together,
Shout out to Tracy.
who birthed this event, wanted me to talk about hip hop history and how it relates to journalism, and of course, you know, everybody knows I come from a hip hop background,
Right.
And so I was glad to do it. So to be able to talk about hip hop history, because you know, if you don't know your history, you know, you don't know your future. So I got a chance to talk about the beginnings of what hip hop is, because lots of times we forget, we don't respect the architects because we don't know who the architects are,
Right.
or why it even happened in the first place. So it gave me a chance to talk about the beginnings of hip hop in general, and the beginnings of hip hop in Cleveland, because you know I was there at the beginnings of hip hop in
Right,
Cleveland,
right.
day one.
Exactly.
So yeah, you know, and to talk about it to students and to adults was something that I like to do. I taught a class in the summer at Case Western Reserve, talking to the kids about hip hop history, and I look to do more of that. So I look forward to doing that again on November 5th.
So you're the first Cleveland rapper signed to a major. Is that a fact?
Okay, first of all, I'm the first rapper in Cleveland, period.
He said,
Okay. Now that we got that out there.
I'm trying to give you your props. I'll just make sure I didn't mess up.
Right.
No, but I get to that. But I do want people, because people, you know, I am Cleveland's first national rap recording artist. Yes, I am.
So you was rapping. What year are we talking?
We talking about I dropped Busta's Rhyme in the winter of '85.
Wow, that's dope.
That is though. Right.
So in
So
1985, I am probably the first non-New York rapper to ever chart on Billboard. But yeah, I was the first Cleveland rapper with a national record deal. But again, when I say I was there at Cleveland Hip Hop Day One, I'm the first rapper in Cleveland even without a record deal. Nobody was rapping before me. It might have been some people rapping with me.
right.
But nobody was rapping.
Nobody had. How'd you get your deal? How did you get your deal? Everybody talks about, because you know we got
That's the bus to New York.
right. Did you
I
get?
did not catch it.
So how did you? So share with us, how did Kevin Hurd become MC Chill and get that national deal? Because now we got these phones, IG, YouTube, and people been doing their own thing and saying they want to go independent. How did you get your deal?
All right. Well, you said how did I become
Yeah.
MC Chill?
Yeah.
So I was, and that's my point. Before I got my record deal in 1985. I was already years in the game. I was already MC Chill. I didn't start rapping the day I got my record deal. So
How long was you rapping before you got it?
Okay, I heard Rapper's Delight in 1979. Probably 2 weeks later, I had got my rhymes together and was rocking the mic. So and at that point, me and DJ Cochise, we started this thing together. So because we were both students at Kent State University, we formed a group called the Bomb Squad. The original before Chuck and them, before PE had the Bomb Squad. We started a group called the Bomb Squad. Me, DJ Cochise, DJ Kid Finesse, MC Wayne G, and we were like Cleveland's first supreme rap group. We were already rocking on the radio. We were already rocking on WDMT Club Style. We were already rocking on WZAK. So before my record deal, I was already known as MC Chill, as one of the preeminent MCs in the city. Yeah, what you got, Larry?
No. The thing about it is, one thing I put up that, and the thing about it is that I remember that when talking to my father, and he remembered you on Lee and Harvey, and it was rocking and everything, and I was a little shorty, and I heard you, I was like, wow, and it was like. And it impressed me, like, yeah, man, hip hop. I'm gonna be honest with you. You're the reason I like hip hop to this very day.
Facts.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. That's a Headline Eye exclusive. Here's the reason, because your rhymes, and I'm gonna let you finish the story, but your rhymes are so scientific, and you rarely cuss. Your rhymes are so scientific that you had to read a dictionary to figure out what he just said.
Well put together.
Very well put together. I call him he's like one of the, like, if I had to put, like, the thing about it is, like, I had to put him in my top 10 as far as greatest hip hop artists. I had to put you in my top 10.
You're showing out today.
No, I'm not. I'm being honest.
He's a dope artist.
Hey, I told him I brought him a gift back from Egypt, so he ain't got it yet.
Right. Shut up.
He coming with it.
Shout out to and Heather and Heather just said human thesaurus.
Let my
So
man Reed Dollars.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, and no, the
I'm
lady,
battle rap. Go ahead.
right? So, but after you started rapping, who came to you and said, "Hey, I want to sign you to this major label"?
The quick story is I had begun the process of doing a regional deal with my man Jimmy Stevens, rest in peace. Wanted to do a regional deal, so I was already recording. I had grabbed up my man Mike Chapman, and we started working on some demos. But then Mr. Magic, may he rest in peace, basically the creator of the rap radio format. People know him from Biggie shouting him out, Mr. Magic Marley Marl. So Mr. Magic was here in Cleveland with Roxanne Shante, and my man Fly Ty, who is still with us, who was the owner, creator of Cold Chillin' Records that put out Big Daddy Kane, Roxanne Shante, all the Juice Crew,
Right.
All Stars. So Mr. Magic and Fly Ty was in Cleveland with a young 14-year-old Roxanne Shante. And Mike Chapman called me up, said, "You want to roll with me to pick up Mr. Magic and Shante from the airport?" He had the WDMT van. Sure, we pick him up. We already had the demos. He throws my demo in the deck. And Mr. Magic is like, "Yo, who was that? Like, I know every MC on the planet. I ain't never heard." He said, "That's my man Chill." He looks back at me. He said, Who did the production?" I point back up at Mike, who's driving the van. He said, "Oh, I see how this is going down. Y'all got me hemmed up." And so he said, "Can I take this back, to New York with me?" And so he took the tape back, and it ended up being in the hands of my man Sal at the world famous Fever. The Club Fever is the first hip hop club of any national note in the South Bronx, the home of hip hop.
You performed the Fever that was on Crush Groove?
The Fever from Crush Groove, yes. And I was probably a couple months away from being in the movie Crush Groove. I was the only Fever artist on the label that was not in the movie, but the movie had just wrapped production as my deal was getting done. But yeah, the Fever, anybody in New York can tell you that the Fever was like the first club that hip hop ever knew. Before the Fever, you could only really see hip hop in the parks. But the Fever in the South Bronx also started a label, Fever Records. And everybody, it's a legendary label of hip hop. And everybody on the label, specifically Love Bug Starsky, was from New York. So I was the first non-New Yorker on a New York label. So not only am I the first Cleveland rapper to have a national deal, I'm the first non-New York rapper to be on a specific New York label. So yeah, big ups, you know.
How long did you live in New York?
Because throughout most of my time, my recording career, I was a college student. So I was always in school. Okay. Now I took a little time off to do shows, to do tours, and most of the times when I was in New York, I spent a lot of time in the Bronx, a lot of time in Manhattan, and then later on, I basically lived in Brooklyn. Big ups to Brooklyn, to the Beat, to BK, to Bed-Stuy, and so between Brooklyn and the Bronx and Manhattan is where I stayed. But I was always back to Kent State University during that time.
In Kent, Ohio. Wow. So how much, so were you like the first millionaire hip hop artist from Cleveland?
I wish. No, you know, it wasn't that much money
Right,
back in hip hop back then.
Back then.
You know, I tell people, and big ups to my brother MC Brains, who was the first platinum artist out of Ohio. But just to let you know the difference between the times, when I was out, do you know how many platinum rap artists there were? One, Run DMC. They were the only.
The ones that got the Adidas signing deal making the song My Adidas.
You said when you were out.
When I was out, there was only one platinum artist.
LL wasn't platinum?
No, one. He was gold. When I was out, there was only one platinum artist, and that was Run DMC. So that's the difference of how hip hop was.
The whole 80s in hip hop, one platinum artist.
Yeah.
Wait, how old is
But,
he?
okay, put it this way. Put it this way. You got to remember that hip hop was black people music, and there was no crossover until Run DMC did Walk
This Way.
Right, exactly.
There was no crossover. So, you know, to go gold is incredible.
You know what, Heather, she just said, now she'll need a shoe line. You need a shoe line.
There you go.
Right.
So, and we had a deal going, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it was, you know, back in the day, you were really doing it for the love. You gotta remember when I was out, this was
new.
A lot of cats. I was out before Public Enemy. So, you know, when I did a song, Open Your Eyes, that was about apartheid in South Africa, nobody was doing political, world political rap before that song.
It was usually the party stuff, and then the gangster stuff came in.
That's right. So I'm doing political stuff, but again, I'm a college student at this time.
Right.
And at Kent State University, we big on our Pan-African Studies department. So I'm kicking also that knowledge in what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it wasn't you I don't know if you remember an OLL rhyme that said 6 G's for 20 minutes is the pay I earn. You know,
Yeah.
6 G's
60,000
was big.
Big back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s. You know, not cats get millions of dollars for shows.
So if you would have, so Ned was sure, you know, younger. If you were coming out now, how would you come out? Would you still come out as an independent, or would you still try to sign to a label?
Well, obviously, independent now is well. That's another thing. So you got to realize that hip hop was born off independent labels. Run DMC was on Profile Records. That's an independent label. I was on Fever Records. That's an independent label. Matter of fact, when hip hop started, there was only one major label artist out, and that was Curtis Blow. But other than that, every rap artist was on an independent label. But, you know, somebody like Luke Skywalker, Uncle Luke showed us the way that you can make your own records, have your own distribution, have your own deal, have your own label. And then later, Russell Simmons showed us the same thing. You talked about the blueprint. So yeah, a lot of cats before that showed us the blueprint and how to make money. Russell did. I mean, before Puffy, there was Russell. Before Kanye, there was Puffy.
And we can't forget about Easy.
I mean, but that was that was
80s.
Russell.
Yeah,
That was
late
late
80s. That's
80s.
like
We
89.
talking about that was
Yeah, 89.
Russell.
86, 89 is not that far away.
Man, in
Right.
hip hop years, woo,
yeah,
that's a
that's a
long.
lot of
Let me
years.
tell you, because that's the bridge. That NWA Eazy-E, that's the bridge between the beginning of what rap was right up until that point. They were in that political conscious rap, and all of a sudden the so-called gangster rap that changed the landscape of hip hop and what we were talking about and what we were doing. But it also changed how much money was coming in, because hip hop had gotten so conscious that it was too smart for their own good. And but when Easy and them came in and dropped Dope Man, that changed the game.
And that changed the money and the flash, and then you seen the gold chains and stuff coming out, and to be honest, listening to the Pan-African rap, listening to X-Clan and things of that nature, that's what hip-hop was. It was the conscience of the street in a positive way.
Right.
I mean, when NWA came out, the Negroes with attitudes, I'm not going to use the other word, it brought a different level to the street game.
But my point was, Easy and them were part of a label that was run by somebody else. And what I'm saying is, and Russell and them brought in the fact that you could be in hip hop and do comedy, Def Comedy Jam. You could do a clothing line. You could have your own management, your own label. So Easy and them came in under Jerry Heller, and that's a whole nother story.
And that's when, and the thing about it is, you want to talk about Semitism. When Cube separated from NWA, Jerry, and if you look at the movie, there was a lot more bad blood that was going on when Cube separated because of the money.
Yeah,
He
but
taught
I'm
him,
just saying, a lot
right?
of cats showed us the way,
Right.
And certainly I would have done it differently. But the things that I was trying to do was bring up other people in Cleveland. And I think I was successful for the most part, because I brought up cats like Bango the B-Boy Outlaw, Lori D, MC350, who ended up being down with the Face Mob, my man Todd Sams, who ended up being choreographer for Usher and Beyonce and Chris Brown. So I brought up a lot of cats underneath me that started doing other things, but
And yes, it's the Beyonce and Chris Brown.
That's
right.
That's correct.
Right.
But Usher's original
Usher.
choreographer is
You're talking
from
about
Cleveland.
From Shaker Heights, right?
That's right. Yeah, Todd Sands, Todd Ski was down with the original Step Off crew. But yeah, all them cats came up under me, and I started doing radio at ZAK. I did the Rappers Delight show and broke a lot of new records, and as well as Cleveland artists. So yeah, I mean, I did my thing, and I'm proud of my contribution to hip hop, not just as an artist. And I got into journalism as a hip hop journalist. I started writing for Source magazine. That was my first regular journalism gig. And the next thing I know, I'm the president of the Black Journalists Association of Cleveland.
Right.
Did you write for Johnny O's magazine?
I was one of the first. It's a Rap. I was one of the first. I was managing editor of It's a Rap magazine.
That's what's up. So now, obviously, right, man. This is a whole nother show for real.
Man, I was out on the scene prior to John. Like, I was out doing radio and rapping as a member of the Bomb Squad. I remember when Johnny O came out. We was already doing stuff. And John and them came in. I said that in a documentary. John came in blowing it up, man. I was like, man, this cat's gonna be somebody to recognize. And John, people call us now, me, Johnny O, and DJ Cochise. They're doing this documentary. They're referring to us as Cleveland's hip hop holy trinity. Me, Cochise, DJ Johnny O. But yeah, John, man, there's not a lot of people that go back that far with me, and John is my brother for life in hip hop, and we've seen the beginnings Cleveland hip hop.
I got
What
it.
about female women rappers? Who's coming up? You give us like a few women rappers that was rapping back in your day.
Yeah,
Like
well,
some
you know,
Cleveland-
people. I mean, and people forget about. I always shout out Carmela MC, the Mellow MC Ice-T. Before we knew about Ice-T in L.A., she was a part of the Hollywood Show Rocks, one of the first female rap groups. Of course, Niecy and Nikki, Niecy D. Of course, 350, my girl Lori, who was with the Face Mob. So yeah, it's always been some sisters getting down in Cleveland and spitting bars too. So big ups to everybody that go back into the cultural fabric of Cleveland hip hop.
Now, I'm just gonna go all the way through with this. You've done interviews with Halle Berry, you've done interviews with the famous stars. There's one interview, and you know I'm
Oh,
sorry.
man, how we not talking about Lil Ted?
Yeah, we talk about Little Ted.
Man, come on, man, don't take me there.
There's the thing about it is like I gotta talk about come on, you call me LG Junior, so LG Junior, the Prince of all Leon
You
Harvey.
don't want his gift? I don't think he want his gift.
I do want to.
I'm put it back in my pocket.
No, you don't. No.
We doing that now?
No, just like the thing about it is like the thing about it is I know that was your worst interview, but who was your best interview?
Oh man, I've interviewed so many. It's hard to say, man. I've interviewed Denzel Washington. I've interviewed Dr. Maya Angelou.
All in person or
In person, face to face. Every black actor and everybody saw. Well, I don't know if everybody. I posted my interview that I did with Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace.
Rest in
Panther.
peace. Wakanda Forever is coming out soon.
And
Yes.
so, I've interviewed authors, I've interviewed actors, I've interviewed writers. So it's hard to say, man. I've interviewed my man Bernie Mac, was one of my favorite. I've
Rest in
interviewed
peace
Bernie
again.
Mac, rest in peace. I've interviewed Bernie Mac maybe 4 or 5 times, face to face. And Bernie was always a very giving interview. And although everybody knows that Tevin Campbell probably is historically one of the worst interviews I've ever done, I will also say that I've probably had 7 horrible interviews with Chris Rock. I'm saying continuously the worst interviews to the point where they said, chill, you don't even have to interview him anymore if you don't want to. I'm like, nah, we go, maybe this one will be the one.
So who was the interviews with? The Call and Post or somebody else?
Sometimes they were with the Call and Post, sometimes because at some point I became my own brand.
Right.
And I was doing interviews for different television markets, different television media, different radio media. Sometimes I even did interviews instead of my man, the Moss Man, David Moss.
That's what's
Sometimes that I would be there, and Dave, at one specific time, Dave was like, chill, can you do this interview for me? And we'll use the answers that they give you for my interview. So I've even had a chance to step in, and Dave is the best, man. He's my Yoda as far as interviewing celebrities. But yeah, it's so many people that I've interviewed, I couldn't tell you. But like offhand, Bernie Mac, Maya Angelou, Denzel Washington, Chadwick Boseman, Mary J. Blige.
Right. Did you go to you weren't back from the Mary J. Blige concert, were you?
No, I had just got
Right.
back, so I didn't make it. But there probably isn't a black actor that I haven't interviewed. And not only, but I've interviewed,
Right.
Matt Damon. And,
Right.
and,
What
I mean,
about what's her name? Precious.
well, she's only really in 2 movies, so I did Gabrielle Settleby, so I didn't.
All right. All right.
So if you didn't catch one of them 2 movies that I did.
So
I missed.
so you said Chris Rock, you brought up something interesting because Will Smith, and Chris Rock got into that thing with the Oscars. Did you think Chris Rock deserved that Oscar
Hey,
slap
man,
by
let me tell you
Will?
something. And I tell you now, and people know that I've had issues with Will. I've had issues with both of them. I've been on bad connections with Will and Chris.
Really?
So I thought that was interesting that the 2 of them got caught up in that. So I wanted to smack Will and Chris.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But,
And I'm sure that Will Smith would have never walked up to you like he did Chris Rock at the Oscars. It would
I
have
would hope not, but
it'd be a problem.
but between me and you, and I've really never told the story on any radio format, but Will and I had a issue, an instance, and a lot of times because Will and I are we come up together. He's a peer that we came up in the industry
In the industry.
at the same time.
Right, he came up with, because remember, before he became Will Smith, he was the Fresh Prince with the parents just don't understand. And
Right. But what I'm saying is, Will and I came out the exact same time.
Right.
When I came out with Busta's Rhyme with the television show joints, he came out with Girls of the World Ain't Nothing
Bro, Trouble,
with
yeah.
I Dream of Genie.
Yeah.
I came out with Downbeats with the beatbox. He came out with a beatbox jam. I came out with Nightmare on Chill Street. He came out with
Nightmare on Elm Street.
My
I was about to bring that up.
So I'm saying, Will and I we've been
Y'all were competition.
We've been out at the same time with similar music.
Right.
But I'm always glad to see cats from my era specifically doing other things. And it happens a lot because I've interviewed other MCs from my era who are doing movies, because it's a lot now. So it's LL, it's Ice-T, it's Will, it's Latifah, Big Daddy Kane. So even Ice Cube to some extent. So I've interviewed all of those people as a former MC talking to another former MC,
right,
who's now doing something else. But yeah, now Will and I had a little run in. That's another story. But
right.
For Chris, man, like I said, I've had like several back-to-back interviews with Chris that just went way left, but not as left as the Tevin Campbell interview.
I mean, the thing about it is, and we know that little Tevin Campbell is gay. And
hey, that ain't got nothing to do with him get his ass whooped.
You want to share a brief? Oh, damn! All right, so golly. So you want to share a little bit
Hey, man.
of the Tevin Campbell?
I have to remind Lil Tev, at that point, that was probably my second interview as a journalist ever. I had done my first real interview was, rest in peace, with the legendary what's my man that made Superfly, Curtis Mayfield.
Curtis Mayfield, yeah. Man,
it was one of the greatest interviews ever. He had just became a quadriplegic, and I was like, man, I don't know if this interview gonna go good. This scaffold done fell on his brother. He can't move his arms, his legs. But it was one of the greatest interviews, man. We talked for an hour. He sang songs while I was interviewing him. I'm like, man, this whole journalism thing is gonna be nice. And in my second interview, it's Tevin Campbell. And I had to remind his little ass.
Go ahead. You might want to leave the room. You gonna laugh?
I'm like, hey man, I'm only like 2 months from just being a rapper. Like, I'm not really a journalist right now. And you talking to the wrong person, talking real fly at the mouth. How you talking?
How old was he when he did that?
He was old enough to get his ass whooped.
That's all that he did.
That's what I'm trying to tell
If
you.
you old enough to talk smack, you old enough to get messed up. That's what Bernie Mac said in a whole different format. But we are here.
Real
What's understood
reckless.
don't need to be explained, baby.
He was real reckless and disrespectful. And Joe Stills was there. Joe was there with me.
Joe explained the story to me, and I'm still laughing at it. But the thing about it is, like, why would he? Like, man, you know who you dealing with. You know, you don't have whole Lee and Harvard just throw your stuff and stomp your stuff in the ground.
Man,
Don't mess
about
with
to
you.
get a whole JFK Rec Center.
Oh, Lord.
But no, but for real. So we interviewing, and Tevin, I guess, was having some mental issues or some personal issues.
Like Kanye now.
Or some other issues that he was dealing with. And he was a little reckless at the mouth. And it got to the point where I had to make a decision. I'm going to have to stop talking to Tevin in the middle of the interview, or else I'm going to have to put hands on him.
And be open to some lawsuits.
Because I wasn't a journalist at the time.
You was still just coming off so
I
ill.
was just coming off
The
doing a show
road.
at the Glenville Festival.
Oh,
Silver B, yes, chill, MC Chill, come on up and say some rhymes. But and rest in peace.
Rest
my
in
man
peace
B.
to Silver B, man.
But yeah, I was just really becoming a journalist at that time, and Tevin was headed down the wrong path with me. So I actually had to stop the interview. I stopped talking to Tevin. I just disconnected. You know how to when the artist stopped the interview and they stopped talking?
And they get a
Right. In this instance, the interviewer had to stop talking because he was
Better
going
put some
there,
respect.
man.
You was like Baby on the Breakfast Club. You better put some
Man,
respect
he
on my
was
name.
going there, bro.
I ain't saying no more.
I'm looking to do a re-up with Tevin after all these years. My guy who's a journalism professor at Kent State, Gene Sheldon, was the one who set that interview up. He still talks to Tevin, and so I was talking to Gene. I said I'd like some closure on this. 35 years later, or however long it was, to actually sit down and talk.
You know, Tevin might apologize now that he's grown up about what because he probably was young and immature. We give him a second chance, but I want to be a fly on the wall. I want to be there when you do it.
Yeah,
I will slip you some.
re-up.
I'm gonna slip you some money. I'm gonna say this on air right now. I'm gonna slip you some money. You let me know when you gonna do it. I will get an Uber. I don't care where it is to where you are to the Tevin. Just give me access. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna look.
Hey man, I'm protesting. Can we talk? Every time I hear that song, I'm like, boo!
You do that all the time.
Man. Hey, let me tell you, I was at a festival. I was with my wife. It was an outdoor festival, and they was like, come, you know, my wife is a woman of stature.
Shout out to Mrs. Hearn.
She's a PhD.
Right.
And she ain't really with the foolishness, right? So we walking, and they said, coming up next, Tevin Campbell. And I was like, boo! And my wife looked around like, what the hell? Was that you? Like, let's try not to do that again out in public.
She didn't snatch you up, did she?
Hey, but I looked at her like,
wanted
it's Tevin. You inherited my hatred with Tevin. So
When you married me,
I told her about Tevin.
I took you out. When you married me, I took
You know
your
what they say, for
bill.
better, for worse,
Right.
or booing Tevin Campbell.
Right. How long are you and Dr. Chill been? I call her Dr. Chillfield. How long y'all been married?
We've been together for a while. We've been together for almost 30 years, but I knew her in college even before.
Right. Black love, you can't
to
beat
give her
it.
a shout out. She's now vice president over at Tri-C, and historically at Kent State, because a lot of people know me from being like the original rapper at Kent State University. She was the first. My wife was the first female president of Black United Students.
What?
Before her, they were all male.
Right.
And after her, now other women have become presidents of the Black United Students organization, but she was the first female to be president of Black United Students. So shout out to Dr. Janice Taylor.
All right, Dr. Janice Taylor. So, God, we got to wrap this up. I hate to do this. Listen.
I didn't get a chance to kick bars.
I didn't.
All right. No, we good.
Larry, I got you.
All right.
I'm giving Larry his, what did it say? It's a souvenir from Egypt. From Egypt. You see, it's a souvenir from Egypt. I didn't get this from the gas.
Right. You know what? I'm going to see that.
Brother.
Thank you very much.
It's the refrigerator magnet. That is the hawk. That is not the United States eagle. That's the original emblem.
The original.
Of Horus, Heru, holding his lotus. Those aren't the things he holding. Is not from like the United States emblem.
Right. God bless
A lot
you.
of things are gonna look similar because there were copies
Right.
from the original.
I
Right.
want to hear some bars, though.
No, we can't. We got to go.
We gotta go.
Yeah, we got to go. I mean, the thing about it is.
I'm always prepared to spit.
Well, you know what? We got. You know what? Go ahead. You know what? I'm gonna give you before I go. I'm gonna give you time. So we go. So Chill's
I
gonna
don't
do
have
one.
to spit bars.
I would love to hear that.
She wants to hear it. When you ladies request.
Yes.
Okay, we doing something now?
Yeah, we.
Okay, all right. See, I was just playing.
You want to be?
No, okay, hold on. Let me see. I'm a pyramid builder plus an MC. Oh man, see, I got that means it's new. Like I'm just coming with that. I'm back from Egypt. I'm a pyramid builder plus an MC. Them bars got fire in the middle for when I build them. See, I've been in rooms with tombs, with valleys and temples, and I can make this difficult, but I'm gonna keep it simple. Do you know what it's like to be MC Chill? From darkness to light, you gotta fight to be chill. When I get all hyped, they be like, MC Chill. But if you write about Cleveland, it ain't right without Chill. They looked all over the earth and the ground, all up and down. Had to remove their shoes when they found me on holy ground. Angels with angles was checking for MCs. I raised 5 fingers and stood on 90 degrees. I said I started this thing when it was harder to swing. But weak game couldn't hang with their names on the chain. That's MC Chill. You remember the time. Downbeats, nightmares, bust this rhyme. Rhyme raised in Asia, Moorish made mine. Who said that I couldn't turn water to wine? But if you never heard my prophecy or MC story, if you never caught the bus to the plush and the snow and the slush and your girl screamed for me, I'm the M, the C, the CH to the L. And if I wasn't, then Cleveland wouldn't be so real. If I didn't, you'd have a lot of time to kill. And if I never, you'd still be looking for Chill. They said, I self, law and master, travels faster. I just got back from the East. I won't say goodbye, I'll just say peace.
Ah! Ah! Black fist up, number 1, black fist up, number 2, fire, 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 fire. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to, you and MC Brains, are y'all working on something together right now for Cleveland? I know you was working with Suave. You guys paved the way for other hip hop artists here, like Ray Jr. and things of that nature.
That's my brother, man. I just actually, because I heard that Brains was not feeling well, so I reached out to him and I shouted.
Get
him
well,
out.
MC Brains, man.
Yeah, so I called my brother and I sent him a message and he reached back to me. So yeah, I look at Brains as a brother. It's not a lot of us who knows what it's like to be an early Cleveland artist out on wax, out doing shows all over the country. And so he and I share that experience. So any chance I get, man, me and Brains build. But we've been talking about doing something together for a while, and he's always been receptive to it. And he's like, yo, Chill, whatever you need. So he's good about it like that. So, Larry, we'll try to expedite matters and get something together.
God bless you,
me and
man.
Brains for the land.
The president of the Greater Cleveland Association of Black Journalists, I thank you for joining me. I thank you for the gift. I will cherish this. I'll probably frame this thing because
It's a refrigerator magnet to keep your food chilled.
from MC Chill. So,
Talk to me.
right. So talk to me, Cleveland, and talk to me. If nobody tells you that they love you today, I do. Shout out to MC Chill. Shout out to Shayla Jackson. Shout out to the Human T-Rex. We're going out with MC Chill. So peace, love, and hair grease. We out of here. Remember, check out the Cap. I'm going to have the cast on next week. I'm in the movie as the professor. Cedar Lee Theater, November 6th. Opening night for the Cap movie. And also, check us out everywhere. And make sure you vote November 8th. Early voting has already started. Peace, love, and hair grease. We out here on WNRV 1081.com, Nerve DJs Network, where you get on your nerves. Peace.
Peace.